Well, it's been a bit of an ugly morning here in the world of crypto, as many altcoins such as Trump, Bonk, LDO, Algo, IP, and many more have been seeing some really nasty losses over the last 24 hours. And in today's video, what I want to do is give you an exact reason as to why I believe that this is happening and exactly what I'm doing right now in order to still be able to win during a market like this. So look, we have a good bit to get into today, so let's start to break it down. And guys, don't forget, if you do want to start trading some crypto today yourself, you can check out that link to BTCC down below, where you can get up to $10,000 per user. Guys, in a market like this, having up to $10,000 to trade completely for free, that's a huge bonus. So check out the link down below and let me know what you think. Now, the reason as to why I think we're seeing this pullback here in the crypto market really boils down to two main points. I think there are two main points, two main reasons as to why this is happening. Now, the first one is about retail traders, okay? You remember I made a video, I think maybe 2 or 3 days ago, which went over the sell in May and go away narrative, which basically says that retail traders should just sell their crypto in the month of May, wait for the market to rebound a bit and just buy back in. Well, I believe people are doing that. And historically, year after year after year, many retail investors do that. And I think people are starting to exit the market, especially over the last 2 or 3 days, expecting these sorts of pullbacks and crashes to happen, which is why we're seeing more specifically many of your mid-cap selling off. Guys, you got to understand that things like Radium, APT, ENA, TIA, Trump, VET, Bonk, right? The majority of these mid-cap altcoins and meme coins are controlled by retail traders. These are not really institutional backed. We're not seeing huge buys from big institutions and big whales. These are majoritively just retail traders like you and I. And if we're seeing a lot of retail traders selling due to this retail trader narrative, it wouldn't make a lot of sense as to why we're seeing these retail-backed cryptos underperforming, especially on a day like today. And so with a lot of retail investors starting to sell out of the market, it would make, again, a ton of sense as to why we're starting to see, of course, things like these sorts of cryptos pulling back. Now, in addition to that, I actually do think that the altcoin market is being impacted by Bitcoin right now, which is showing signs of weakness itself. And matter of fact, this is actually something that I warned you all about over on Twitter just 2 days ago. 2 days ago on Twitter, I said, hey, everyone, I want you all to be extra cautious as we head into the new week. Bitcoin is currently forming an ascending channel, but its price is showing weakness on the RSI and several other indicators. This usually suggests that a breakdown in structure could be coming, potentially pulling Bitcoin back into the low $90,000 levels. Of course, nothing is guaranteed, but if this momentum loss continues, listen to this, I'd estimate a 70 to 80% chance of a pullback. And just a couple days later, what can you see? Bitcoin's price has continued to pull back, with it breaking to the downside of that ascending channel, just like we somewhat expected, leading the rest of the market downwards. What you have to understand is, listen, Bitcoin is very much so in control of this market. You look at something like Bitcoin dominance, and this thing is still absolutely surging, and it's not showing any signs of weakness right now. And what this means is that while Bitcoin dominance is going up, Bitcoin is outperforming the market. Bitcoin's very much in control of this market. And what that means is that in a moment like this, when we see Bitcoin's price pull back, it's going to pull back a little bit, and the rest of the market's going to pull back a lot more. And when you combine Bitcoin's price showing weakness with retail investors selling, it's going to give you a day like today where the crypto market just starts getting battered. And it's up to us to have an understanding of why that is happening and what we can be doing in order to prepare for it. This is why I was warning you guys over on Twitter, and this is why we talked about the sell in May and go away narrative just a couple days ago. We were prepared for this pullback, and now let's talk about exactly what we can be doing in this pullback in order to capitalize on some gains. So gladly, over the last couple weeks, we have been taking a good bit of profits. This is my buy and sell bubble sheet, and what you can see is that these green bubbles are when we were buying, and these red bubbles of when we have been selling and taking profits. And what you can see is that here on the channel, guys, we have been taking profits for the last couple weeks. We took profits back here, we took profits right here, here, and here, opening us up to have some available cash just kind of sitting on the sidelines for days like today. And what I will actually let you all know is that I am preparing to deploy some of that cash that I have sitting on the sidelines from taking profits here in order to be able to buy on some of these lows. You know, a lot of people play this game backwards. In moments like today and in months like May, they end up selling, right? They leave, which is what I talked to you all about yesterday, and they end up, putting themselves at a spot where they're selling at losses. And then they'll just wait for this market to rebound and then they'll chase it, buying on days like this. And then next thing you know, they're down again. No, we play an opposite game here. When everyone's all excited, guys, that's when we're selling. When everyone's screaming that we're going to 100K, guys, that's when we're selling. And the funniest part is that over the last couple of weeks, when I was taking profits here, taking profits here, taking profits here, I was getting kind of like, people were going crazy on me in the comments. Like, are you stupid? Why would you be selling now? Why wouldn't you sell at 100K? Why wouldn't you sell at the all-time high? We're going to break out. And I'm just sitting here, listen, while you guys feel that way, I'm going to keep taking these profits. And well, what do you know? Here we are. And so going forward off this profit taking, again, now we have some cash available on a day like today to start to deploy it. And that's what I'm actually planning on doing. My current strategy right now is starting to deploy some of my assets, some of my cash assets into the crypto market on just a couple ones. Okay. I'm not really planning on buying any mid caps right now. I'm not really planning on buying any meme coins or pre-sales. There is a few specific quality cryptos that I plan on buying over the coming days. And these are the ones. I'm going to be buying a little bit of Bitcoin. I'm going to be buying a tiny amount of Ethereum just because I need to re-up my portfolio percentage on it. I'm going to be buying a decent amount of Solana. I'm going to be buying a pretty sizable amount of SUI and a pretty decent amount of XRP. Now, the reason why I've chosen these ones specifically are just because these are the ones that I have the most faith in. What you have to understand is that in moments like this, in which there are uncertainties in the market, you need to do your best to give yourself as much stability as possible. The only way to balance uncertainty is with stability. The only way to balance volatility is, of course, with stability. So when things are getting all crazy, you need to drop the anchor off the boat to stabilize that boat a bit so you're not rocking back and forth and getting seasick, right? And so in a moment like this where no one really knows what's going to happen, is Bitcoin going to pump? Is it going to dump? No one really knows. The best thing to be doing is to be buying the things that you have the most faith in, so that even if the market does continue to get crazy or even fall, you're not getting too concerned, you're not getting too worried, you're not getting too emotional and making bad choices. Now, I'm not in a spot quite yet where I'm going to be doing some buying. I'm not thinking that this pullback is over quite yet if it is going to continue. So I'm not going to be deploying just yet, but I am planning on deploying if/when Bitcoin's price falls anywhere between $90,000 to $88,000, anywhere in here. Now, the reason why this is going to be the level in which I do some buying at is because this is where I think Bitcoin has the best chance of being able to actually see a good bounce, right? Because the reality is, listen, guys, if Bitcoin's price just pushes back into this ascending channel, that's not really going to be all that exciting to me. I think that's just going to be kicking the can down the road. And the likelihood is that it's going to come back down to pullback at some point, right? So what I'm thinking here is that, look, if Bitcoin just works its way back in, well, I'll just keep doing what I was doing before. I'll take profits if we go higher. But if I'm going to be doing some buying, I want to buy off the levels in which I think Bitcoin has actually a good chance of finding some support and continuing on some sort of more macro move, some sort of more stable long-term move. And I think that's the $90,000 to $88,000 levels. What you can see is that this has been a massive point of resistance where we ran into resistance right here. We ran into resistance right here. We ran into resistance right here and even a little bit back here. And the likelihood is that if Bitcoin's price can come back down to this resistance level, I do believe it can flip it into support. And if we're given an RS flip right here, it actually should be a good opportunity for Bitcoin to try to continue back to the top side, bringing the rest of the altcoin market down, back up with it. And if that is the case, obviously, then I'm going to be wanting to get in on my alts. I'm going to want to buy a little bit of that ETH, which I think at that point would probably be back anywhere between 1650 and 1570. I want to buy a little bit of Solana, which would probably be back around 134. I'll buy a little bit of SUI, which will likely be back towards this resistance point, somewhere, if I had to guess, around $2.82. Buy a little XRP, which might be back around that $2 level, right? These are where I want to be buying these things at a macro level of support that has a great chance of being able to bounce upwards. Now, I haven't decided whether or not I want to just dollar cost average back in right here or open up some low leverage long trades. I haven't really wrapped my mind around how I feel about that quite yet. And I think it's just going to kind of depend on what is happening with the liquidation market. So I'll update you on that. But for the most part, I think we're in a very healthy spot with the market. Guys, what you must remember is that this is a normal thing to happen. Bitcoin is still completing the three-step breakout strategy, which goes like this. You get a breakout and a back test, then you get the move upwards. You get the higher high, then you get the higher low. And right now, it seems to me as if Bitcoin might be in pursuit of setting that higher low, which would then entail some possible continuation to the upside. So this isn't something to be super concerned about. This isn't something I would be super worried about. You just have to understand that things like this do happen. Things like this are natural. And especially when you have a narrative like sell in May and go away happening, you're going to see moments where the crypto market does pull back, especially, of course, your mid-cap altcoins. So I'm not running from it. I'm not scared of it. I'm not even particularly worried about it. This is why we had been taking profits towards the upside to have some cash ready to deploy on days like today and on moments like this. And so right now, all I'm looking for is Bitcoin's price to come back down towards that $90,000 to $88,000 level in order for me to start to redeploy some of my cash, not only just in Bitcoin, but in some of my altcoins as well. And so I'll keep you all updated as this all does play out. Obviously, there is a possibility that Bitcoin again just never comes back to 88 or 90,000. It just continues back upwards. But again, I wouldn't be super excited about that because that means it just would re-enter back into this ascending channel in which it's likely going to pull back outside of it just later on. So again, I just think that would be kicking the can down the road. I'd rather it just happen right now so I can start to deploy some of my cash on some sort of pullback. But time will tell. We'll see. I'll keep you all updated. And one thing, guys, do not forget that if you start to kind of question, dang, how is Tyler confident in a moment like this, right? And I think that's a question that a lot of you guys ask in the comments. Like, Tyler, why on a red day are you so confident to buy? Or why on a green day are you so confident to sell? And the reality of it, guys, is it just comes down to the strategy that I have. I have strategies implemented for basically anything that can happen over the world of crypto or within the world of crypto because I've been experiencing all of these types of moves for several years at this point. And if you are someone who wants to start to develop your own strategies, to be able to build up some confidence, to be able to take profits on days like these, to be able to buy on days like these, what I want you to do is I want you to head to the link down below and go check out the Crypto Strategy School. At our school, we have one very simple mission, and it's to take crypto investors like yourselves and give you the tools that you need to create those strategies I was telling you about. Because listen, guys, the reality here, a strategy is what creates a winning investor. It's not the other way around. And I define a winning investor as someone who's confident and someone who's consistent. And so if you're wondering, how do I become confident in this crypto market, to make moves in this crypto market, and how to consistently win in this crypto market, I want you to check out the link down below. And again, the best part is that if you don't see any growth within your first few hours of joining, I'll just give you your money back. That's how confident we are. This is the place where you can see workshops, live streams. You can see all of my trades. You can get signals. I mean, you can get so much stuff. So check out the link down below. It's available there for you. But overall, again, this is a very normal move. This isn't something I'm very concerned about. And it makes a lot of sense for us to be seeing the market pull back today. So I'll continue to update you as this all does play out. Don't forget that if you do want to start trading, you can start trading over on BTCC. If that does interest you, you can get up to $10,000. And of course, I can't wait to see you all in the next video. Peace out, everybody.